Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the Wrist Cheese Radio podcast, your place for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. My name is Schmidt, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy. You guys know him, you love him, Mr. Bro Dinky. Bro, what's up?
It's been a busy couple weeks here, my friend, for both you and I.
Yes, it has.
It has. It's been tough getting on the same page, and it's getting tougher with my approaching bun in the oven on the way,
Yes, yes, yes.
you traveling, all sorts of things going on. So, apologies to the listeners. We're glad you stick with us, and it's just tough to get the episodes in right now. Hopefully, that'll be resolved shortly. But for now, just bear with us. Yeah, it's been a busy week. Kind of did the Easter thing today, considering I'm gonna be working tomorrow.
Yeah.
We did an Easter egg hunt at my kid's school. My younger one decided he had to go in the middle of it and try to drop trout in front of everybody. So
Yes, yes,
a good time had by everybody.
yes. And it wouldn't be Easter without it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Aside from that, I did get a little feature in a a fashion magazine, if you will, which is
Yeah.
strange. I mean, I think if you asked everybody in my graduating class in high school, probably the least likely person to get a page, an entire page in a fashion magazine, I think I might have been it. But here I am, and it was pretty cool. So it was for 10 Magazine USA. 10 Magazine is a British publication focusing largely on fashion. They've recently come over to the US. This is their second issue, and with it, they published a watches and jewelry supplement, and they highlighted a few let's just say voices from the community. Malika from Hodinky, Bryn, Periscope, somebody else I can't remember who it is.
Wow, even Periscope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of made that recommendation, but hey,
Hey, you know what though? That's kind of a real one.
well, yeah, I wanted they kind of asked me like who can we kind of diversify the group
Yeah.
here with, and I
Who
was like,
can we give
I
spotlight to actual people who care about the
I
industry?
was like, I got a guy, I got a guy.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
listen,
kind of the perfect guy for
I was like, I'll
sure.
float it out there, I'll float it out there. I can't guarantee anything, but I got a guy. So that was cool, and it was neat to kind of you see yourself in print on a page. Pretty cool overall. So
It's amazing. It is truly amazing.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. So how have your travels been? I know you've been a little bit all over the place as of late.
Yeah, I mean it's been not fun. Like it's been fun to
Yeah,
do the
traveling is
thing.
fun, but it also sucks.
It's just mentally and physically exhausting. So that's the part that's not fun about it. But it's been good, man. I mean, it's part of the job, and every year we get a little bit more busy with regards of where we need to be, what we need to do, and kind of the things we got to push out to the market. So it just gets a little bit more aggressive, and just means it makes it a little bit more difficult to do our hobbies, like record. So again, you covered this already, but apologize to the listeners. Thank you guys for hanging tough on us and being okay kind of with the sporadic schedule. We're doing the best we can, believe us, to make this work. In addition to our full time jobs and families. So, and you got that new bun in the oven about to bake. Um, so it's everything's kind of in flux right now.
Yeah, in a few years when our kids don't want anything to do with us, this will be very easy to do.
Yes. Like, oh, dad's gonna go do his weird thing in the garage. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
this guy again.
But no, man, all good. Excited to be recording another episode again. We got some cool stuff to talk about, and we're only a few short weeks away from Watches and Wonders.
Yeah, so we'll see how that pans out. Always a good time there, plenty to talk about. But also, we've had a significant amount of drops in the past few weeks, and it's kind of been
Yeah.
all over the place, not really any which way.
Yes.
Let's start with Timex. I know we had sort of kicked off the year saying that this might be the year of the moon phase, and then we kind of said, well, now they're doing meteorite, and it's kind of been both at this
It
point.
has been both. 100% been both.
And we're going to get a lot into that later. But for right now, we have a Timex moon phase Marlin in 40 millimeters. Comes in blue on a bracelet, comes in green on strap, comes in copper on strap.
Hmm.
All very nice colors, I might
Yeah.
add.
Yeah, they're good.
And it's just a very handsome watch. I mean, super affordable, 159. You're getting a quartz movement at that price point. But hey, I mean, this is a very good looking watch for, especially for what you're paying.
Yeah.
I mean, I know quartz is not everybody's jam,
No,
but
but I mean, this is one of those grab and goes, man. It's like this is one of those watches that helps you fall in love with watchmaking again, all over again. Things when it's a reminder of what life was like when it was simpler and less complicated, and you weren't spending multiple thousands of dollars on watches.
certainly.
Um, this is a gateway piece for me, and I think this is a watch that visually punches way above its weight in terms of style, in terms of looks. Of course, it's quartz. Of course, it's not really a chronograph, but it's kind of a mono pusher, moon phase type thing, But I think stylistically, this is a cool watch. It's inexpensive. It's not going to break the bank. It's something to just grab on, to grab, throw on, and just have some fun. Or if you're looking for a gift for somebody that you want to help kind of get them into watches, what better way than a watch that looks very expensive, but it really isn't, but still made very well with a cool style. It's hard to argue with something like this.
Yeah, and I think there's two things at play here that are sort of indicative of what we've been saying. And one is that it sold out immediately.
Yeah.
Number two, at this price point, I can't think of many better watches to start off somebody with at right now. Like this is a home run in
Yeah.
that regard. It's beautiful, it's novel, it's got some cute stuff going on. It's a little busy. It's got enough to make a little conversation piece out of, and yet if it fell off somebody's wrist and never came back, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
What's better than
It's
that?
it's just good. And Timex, we've been saying this for a couple years now. We both really like them. They've been firing on all cylinders. Whoever their creative team is, whoever
They've done
their
very well
creative
as of
director,
late.
yeah, yes, 100%. 100%. Their creative team is doing extremely well. Their director has a great vision. And I love it because it Timex is one of those historic brands that's like always been there, but for just so many years it became like the brand of like, your geriatric grandfather. It was just
Yeah, Iron
uninspired.
Man, the easy reader, and the weekender.
Exactly. And that said everything, right? It's like the easy reader. Like
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
see anything, so I'm gonna make this as ginormous as possible so I can see the time. Like not awesome, right? And then you had the weekenders, like, okay, this is the camper bros watch. It's kind of like, oh, this one's got the twist of flex bracelet. Like it was kind of that. And now the designs are fun, they're edgy, they're inspired from back catalog pieces. There's stuff that makes it cool to want to really get into today in a modern sense. So just overall, like the stuff that they're putting out is cool. And I love that they're able to poke fun at themselves. I love that they're able to collect the attention of collectors, but also of new people who don't know anything about watches and just want something that looks nice. They're able to kind of bridge that gap, and I think that's also very cool.
Yeah, and they definitely. I guess it was probably sort of when they brought back the Q was when they really started to smash it. And then they hit a little lull there where they were just putting out like more M79s and things
Yeah,
like kind of
yeah.
riffing on stuff. But then they've really come back with a vengeance recently, and they've been doing a lot of cool stuff. I mean, they've always done some neat collabs. They always leave out sort of room for that, whether it's Pan Am stuff or the Snoopy,
Yeah,
whatever it might
Todd
be.
Snyder.
Yeah, they are always kind of evolving in that regard. And they did the Sakan stuff, and
Mhm,
whether it's
mhm,
for
mhm.
you, not for you, kind of tongue in cheek, whatever. It's something else. They just keep offering, sort of like Swatch does. They just keep offering you more stuff, and if you don't like it, you go to the next.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
what's nice about them.
100%.
And yeah, not for nothing, but this is also a very well proportioned watch, 40 mils and 12 thick, and you're going to get this sort of high dome on here, so this is probably going to wear quite nicely.
I think so too, man. I really do.
And look, now they're even getting on board with the quick change straps with the spring bars, so that's neat. Like little things here and there, they're really really stepping it up. And again, for a buck 59, like you could buy this and forget about it and not even feel bad,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't want to. They're neat, they're cool. I'm down. I'm here for it.
Just grab one, add it in your watch box. When you want to put around at the coffee shop on the weekend, just put it on instead of your nice, GMT Master or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
listen,
okay.
listen. Not all of us can be Doctor Strange and afford JLC Perpetual. I mean, this, if you squint your eyes enough, this might give you the look.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or complete your Halloween costume. So there you go.
That's it too.
Actually,
Sometimes
doesn't our buddy Adam have a Doctor Strange thing going on
100% he does. Yes, he
from
does.
Down Under?
But he also looks
He looks
just
enough like him. That's
naturally
the best
like
part. Yeah, he totally's got the Cumberbatch thing going on.
yeah, he does. He looks just like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
It's so funny too. But he's like, I have the costume. I'm like, we
he's
knew
like,
it.
yeah. He's like, yeah,
I knew it.
people tell me I look like him all the time. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. He's like, I, all right. I also have a costume. Oh yeah.
Like so I just lean into it because it's my thing. Yeah, yeah,
Fair play, fair play.
yeah.
Uh,
I love it. He's
yeah,
a good
me
dude.
too. Yeah, no, great dude, great dude. Moving along, another brand that we consider affordable. This is not quite an affordable watch, but a brand that we like for being affordable and sort of the offering that they supply us with. Citizen has a fancy new addition to their Series 8. If you remember, the Series 8 came out last year.
Hmm.
Um, it was sort of like their step up. This is adding on to that with the 890. This is going to be a little derivative for some. We
Yeah.
have an octagonal case. We've got the H-Link integrated look.
Hmm.
Some might say Royal Oak, maybe offshore, maybe sort of it's got a little bit of that Octo Finissimo in it.
Yeah.
It's a handsome watch. It's quite nice. It's 42 mils by 11.7, so quite wearable. Comes in blue, gray, brown, or copper for dials. You get some texture on some of that too. 200-meter water resistance.
Hmm.
A lot to like, except for the price, which comes in about 16 hundo in steel,
Yeah.
1695 in gold coated, which is quite the pretty penny for a Citizen. We've
Yeah.
sort of griped about this where you have your Citizens and Seikos making their way up here nowadays, which is both understandable and also nauseating. Again, a very nice watch. It has an internal rotating bezel. It's very handsome. It's very masculine. It's very sporty. It's sort of what the industry has been riding on in the past few years. Um, Again, I don't know. 1600 is a tough selling point for me, but I think it's nice. Citizens making moves as well. I like what they've been doing lately.
Yeah.
I saw that I got to see a lot of their stuff at uh, Wind Up past year, and they were real cool, and their people behind the desk were great. But yeah, this is definitely a big move for them. Both being sort of up market and also putting out, I guess the next evolution of their timepiece is making stuff a little higher
Yeah.
quality, a little more en vogue, if you will.
And honestly, this is just them taking a page right out of Seiko's book,
Yeah, I feel
right?
that. I really
With the
do.
with the prospects line, with the Presage line, stuff like that we're getting from Seiko, Citizen really doesn't have an answer for. And oftentimes these brands are compared together in the same sentence.
Yes.
So they need to have a higher tiered version of their website. Sorry, website of their product offering, and they need to move up market to some degree. So that's really what I think the Series 8 is really trying to be. It's trying to be the catalyst for that up market swing, but giving the client something a little bit different. Now, is this a winnable long term strategy? I don't know. I don't know how many people bought the original Series 8s when they were coming out with the GMT last year. Um, but I imagine people did enough that it would justify basically a second evolution of this collection, right?
Yeah.
Now with these this diver motif and there's even kind of like a dress watch version where it's more like a thinner case, same type of funky dial stuff, but it's more like dressy
I see that.
than it is GMT than or diver. So they're obviously putting investment into the Series 8. It's just gonna be a matter of time of like what is it? Um, my biggest hesitation with it overall is just this integrated steel sports watch look. Not because it's derivative, but because I feel like we're on the end of that
Like this might
bubble.
be dated very soon.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the end of that trend.
Not necessarily as a look, because obviously this goes back, but just sort of as a movement.
Correct. Correct. It'll be less and less focus driven, I think. And I think here in the next couple of weeks when we start seeing stuff coming out from Watches and Wonders, it's not going to be really the integrated steel sports watches that we've seen popularized over the last 2 3 years. what I think is going to come more into fruition, and this is kind of just what I've seen from just stuff that's being released and kind of the trends. I just feel like the dress watch is back, and I feel like we're getting more and more to that aesthetic. But it's going to be like the 70s dress watch with funky materials on the dials and color combinations that are unique and special, different types of semi-precious stones or whatever it might be. It's not going to be your old man's 1920s dress watch. It's going to be something with a little bit more pizzazz and flair and character. But I think it's coming. We've kind of hinted at this over the last couple of years, but I really firmly believe that this may be the next trend.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think sort of what we've been talking about with the kind of Cartier craze and the Piaget and all that we're
Yes.
seeing is now going to play into that. And then
Yeah.
this is all going to come to a head. And we're going to see the unisex dress watch. We're going to see more precious metals. We're going to see more alternative case shapes,
Yep. Yep.
right? I mean, you see people sort of emulating that look now here and there. It's only a matter of time, I think. And you know what, they said
Yeah.
that they've been saying it for a while. Like if you listen to some of the old heads, like the James Lambdons and people, they've
Yeah.
been saying, listen, gold will be back. They're like,
Yeah.
listen, I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
steel is the thing now, but gold will be back, right? It
I
doesn't
mean,
really
and
go out
and
of
and there'll
style.
and there will be a time too when divers won't be the thing, you know?
Right,
It's kind of
exactly.
it's kind of weird
Yes.
for us to kind of encapsulate that because, as long as I've been interested in infatuated with watches, divers have been the watch to get.
And they've been red hot
And they've been
for a
way red
decade.
hot
For a
for,
decade.
for 15 years,
Yeah.
going on 2 decades, right? Like, but there was a time when it was, if you think about like, famous pieces, it was the Piaget Polo, the King Midas Rolex, the Cellini.
That's a cool one.
Like those are watches that really people bought that were unique and different and special. Were they the big movers? No, but they certainly did move.
But look at what you're seeing on the wrists of the fashionista celebrities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Rihanna wearing a King Midas, right? You got Pharrell and Tyler the Creator and all these dudes
Wearing
wearing Cartier
crashes. Yeah.
crashes. Yep, it's that's where it's going. They're sort of the taste makers in that regard, and I think that's exactly where it's going. Whether you like it or not, I mean, hey, I think we could all use a dress watch. The Cartier crash might not be the one for all of us, or the tank or whatever, but
I mean, yeah, I gotta afford one and find one, right?
also true. But I think there's definitely room in our collections in our watch boxes for them.
Hmm.
But we'll definitely also get a multitude of flavors and offerings that you'll be able to choose from. So that's cool also.
I agree. I agree.
But it's fun. It's
It's
funny you said it because before it even came out of your mouth, I was like, I bet I know what he's gonna say, and it was. I
Yeah,
was
I
ready.
mean, it's just. I mean, again, too, when you think of things like classic, like the moon phase complication, we're seeing this more and more. But that was a classically dress watch complication.
Yes, yes.
You know what it was? It was never in sports watches. It was never in chronos. It was in your more traditional dress watches. And it's kind of interesting to see that that complication come back into vogue. Because we always joke before, it's like, who's this complication for? Werewolves? Like, that's the only people that would actually get practical use out of a moon phase, right? Because you're not a farmer using it.
Right. But in that regard, it was in those types of watches because it was going in calendar watches, right?
Yeah,
In watches that
yeah,
were going to be keeping dates for long periods of time where you're going to be tracking these things and you needed it because the iCal was not invented yet.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. It was a way to measure everything at the same time.
And being precise with your measurements was a big leg up, and that's just what
Yep.
it was. So it being woven into those types of movements in those types of watches makes perfect sense. Whereas now you'll see them in anything, right? You'll see them in sort of sporty watches and more fun and even micro brands now just throwing them in there. Why not? Because you can.
Yeah,
It had a much better application way back when.
totally agree. Totally agree.
But yeah. overall, I mean, getting back to the Citizen, some of these textures are really nice. I think they're handsome watches. Price point is a little jarring.
Yeah.
We'll see though. Maybe you pick one of these up and maybe it's super impressive, and you're like, damn, this might be worth the 1,600. I don't know. I'll leave it out there. I'm not gonna condemn it. I'm not gonna knock it down right now. I'm just saying it's definitely a jump up, and we're gonna see if it's justified.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. All right, on to a more affordable offering from a brand that's making waves, and I think that's at no surprise considering we know our buddy Mike's hard at work over there at Christopher Ward now. But they now dropped a chronograph, which is sort of not in their wheelhouse, right? We know them for a lot of things,
Hmm,
including a
hmm.
moon phase, and even the Bel Canto now, which is the talk of the town. I don't know if you've been out there, but that's all anybody can talk about nowadays
Yeah.
when I'm in person at meetups and stuff. Yeah, I was hanging out with Kathleen. She got her purple one, which was pretty cool. They offer them in really neat colors, and I'm seeing them pop up more and more. And I mean, people are waiting weeks for delivery on these things. I mean, this is a real buzz on these, and it's cool and it's affordable for what it is, and it's really neat. And you only get so many opportunities to own something like that, especially at a price point that you can manage.
Yeah. I mean, every single one of them is under $4,500. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And
Yeah,
this is a strike hour complication watch. I'm sorry, it's just cool. We've talked about it before
yeah,
many times. It's just cool.
it's just neat.
There's no way for it to not be cool. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
Exactly. So, anyways, they have put out a chronograph. It is a quartz chrono. It is a sort of purpose built military chronograph. It's got ties to the British military. It's got three different color hands on the subdials for Navy, Army, and I believe Air Force. Um, yeah, I think you and I were talking about this before the show that we both think that this could very well be just like their piece that they can offer to the military, like
Yeah.
to actually be issued, because it's gonna be well made. It's cool. It's made in their borders, which is nice, right? It's a British
Hmm,
company.
hmm, hmm.
It's not too expensive. It's a quartz chrono. It's going to be reliable. It has functions that can be used. It just makes sense all over the place. It comes in, and these are in dollars, not pounds. $625 on a strap, 750 or 790 on a bracelet. They offer two different bracelets, a 5 link, I believe, and sort of an oyster look.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, neat overall, and it is a chronometer movement, so that's
Yeah, and
cool.
that I think that was a little extra marketing there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows quartz is pretty reliable, but at least
Yeah.
they're telling you they're putting a solid movement in there.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
just like
So
the
this is
one in the
this
million.
is this is an ETA derivative movement, so it's got kind of the close subdials. You'll probably see something similar in style to like some of the Tissot's that are out there,
That was what I
some
was
of the
thinking of. Yeah,
Hamiltons, some of the like the Moon swatches. They all have kind of this derivative of this ETA caliber. Um, but anyway, it's a reliable quartz movement. It's thermal compensated, things like that, which is great for military application. But I think, as we were discussing off air, this is more of like your mass quantity orderable timepiece,
right.
especially for your young new service member who doesn't have a lot of money. This is a great alternative for them to purchase. Now, once they get a little bit more established, and basically doubling their money allows them to get into the mechanical versions of their military timepieces, and that's pretty cool too. So you kind of give somebody something to get in the door with, but then you give them something a little bit more aspirational as they continue on with their military service. As I also mentioned off air, this looks and reminds me a lot of like the Seikos from the 90s and the 2000s that were issued to the RAF. It has kind of that same design language, and I imagine that same type of like, I don't want to say cost because it obviously would have been much less expensive back then, but relative to what people earned as well back then, right?
Yep.
It would have had a similar type of appeal. And I think that this is a great watch, great offerings. 39 millimeters for the chrono, or 39 millimeter chrono. It's quartz, it's got loom. It's approved by Her Majesty Secret Services, and you know, I'm sorry, Secret Service Armed Forces.
I was like,
Um,
wait a minute.
Her Majesty's Armed Forces. Yeah, it's been a late one for me too. But yeah, it's just a good looking watch. good looking watch. You have colors on the chrono hands that kind of signify each one of the different branches within the British military, which is cool. It's a subtle nod to them.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's cool. Would I buy it myself? Don't really have a need to, but I think if you're a service member in the military right now, in England, or even if you were in the U.S. military, it's a watch that's been approved and tested to rigorous limits. You would be more than comfortable, wearing it. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly there. Kind of a can't miss for what it's kind of meant for.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on to another chronograph. Norqain has come back with a 40 millimeter version of their Freedom 60 chrono. I think this is a great move. I mean, even though 42 to 40 is not a tremendous difference, I think when it comes to things like chronographs, especially ones that are going to be a little thick, this one comes in at 14.9.
Yeah.
Those couple millimeters might make the difference if somebody can really pull this off or not. I think it could affect wearability quite a lot. Just looking at the photos, just how the lugs stretch and everything, I think you might actually make up a lot of ground with those 2 millimeters. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I like these. I like the colors. They're sort of pastels. There's a peach, there's a green and a blue. The peach is a limited of 300. The other two are regular production, and I like them. I think they sort of give you that Breitling vibe that came out not
Yeah.
that long
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those Navitimers when we got George Kern driving the plane at Watches and Wonders, and there was this big hubbub about these Navitimers, and then it just turns out they were expensive and nothing really came of them. Like you never really
Yep.
saw them out around, and I haven't seen any on anybody's wrists, which is
I
kind of a
haven't
shame. I
either.
mean, they're
I haven't
cool, but
either.
they're damn expensive. So
Yeah.
this
They're
sort of
they're very expensive. That is for sure.
this gives you an option at like half the price. These are I think four. They're cool. They're pretty. They got the color match date wheel for all the people who are put off by the white or black not matching. It's not me, but I know some people. Oh my gosh! But it's a 100 meter chrono, which is nice. And yeah, they're neat. They're coming up, and
Each one's good, man. Each
I
one's
do. I
good.
think they're just nice. I don't really have anything bad
It's
to say about them.
No, no, no. It's good. I mean, they got an internal tacky. I love the glacier blue with kind of the dark blue subdials. It's a nice take on the Panda because most cases they would do like a glacier blue
Yeah,
with black subdials, but having the blue on blue tone is phenomenal.
yeah, really nice.
The pistachio green just looks really good. The peach is surprisingly my favorite because it's just like, why not? Like why not go for a bold timepiece and go with the bold colorway? Life is too short to be boring, right?
Yeah,
I think it's cool. I think each one of them is a great model. It's a great price point, $4,500. Is it probably on the upper end with what people would feel comfortable spending on a brand like this? Maybe,
I think so. Yeah,
but we know Norcane makes a fantastic product, and I'm starting to see them more and more and more. When I visit different cities and I go into different retailers, Norcane is there. Like their distribution is exploding all over the
yeah.
United
And I
States.
mean, yeah,
That I know for a
You got
fact.
Marky Mark, you got the Nashville Preds, like there's
You got
a
some
little
stuff.
buzz, it's a little
You
buzz
got
going
some
around.
stuff for sure. And you can buy merch from them, which is so funny to me. Like you can buy actual merch. Most brands don't let you do that, which is interesting that
Yeah, you
they
got to
do.
go through their back channels.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get it. You have to be gifted it. You know what I mean? But anyway, story aside, I like it, and I'm just seeing it more and more everywhere. Like I was on a plane. I'm sorry, not a plane. I was in a restaurant in Colorado at the airport, and this dude walked by, and he was wearing a Norcane GMT, and I was like, nice Norcane. And he was like, yeah, I just got it. And I was like, all right. We had like this 2 second exchange, but it was cool. He had like the proud like first dad moment, It's like, oh, and somebody likes my kid. It was just kind of one of those things. It was fun, but it was just like I saw it, I recognize it. I'm seeing it more often. They're doing a lot, and it's good to see them grow.
Yeah, and they kind of have their own look about them. They're not really blending in with too many people with their
No,
handsets and with their layouts. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that bracelet looks really comfy. I
it
haven't tried
does.
one. I haven't had the pleasure of trying one on yet, but sure, I could probably arrange that with Kath.
I mean, honestly, man, they're everywhere. You could find them everywhere now. I
Yeah.
mean,
So that's
they're
neat.
nice.
That's cool. Okay. Let's just, I guess we'll stick with the chronographs here. This one's a little bit of an unconventional chronograph.
You don't say.
Yeah. So Aquastar put out a Benthos earlier in the year, I believe, or late last year, one or the other. Benthos 500, right? And that's, you get this sort of barrel shaped case, and it's a diver, goes super deep. But sort of the one of the classic renditions of this watch was a chronograph. And not only was it a chronograph, probably not in the sense that everybody else is thinking when I say chronograph. This is a central seconds chronograph. So it has an extra hand on here. It kind of looks like a GMT hand. It's bright orange. Just looking at it, you would just think GMT by
Yep.
what you know about watches, sort of off the top of your head. But it's got sort of this mono pusher action on it, and that's going to give you the orange hand is going to be timing elapsed minutes. And you're a diver, so you would know minutes are really your big unit of measurement when you're
Yeah,
diving.
100%, 100%. It's that supersedes everything because unless you're doing very technical, very skill-based diving, you're never going to dive more than really 60 minutes unless you are very well trained. So like your average like recreational scuba dive, most people will hit anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour of air in terms of what they exhaust. What they breathe in, what they exhale. That's usually a good amount. Like if you're a really seasoned diver, maybe you can squeeze that to, an hour 10, hour 15, but it's really not that much beyond that, especially at deeper depths where you're going to get more bottom time. So really minutes is what's going to supersede everything. You can obviously have much more technical diving expertise and dive with different gases and different tanks, but these are people that are carrying like 8 tanks to go do that type of diving. It's not your average type of thing. So, for your normal diver, that's a recreational person, or even a dive instructor, something like that. This would be cool. And the watch that you were talking about was the Benthos H1,
Yeah.
because we had talked about it a little bit off air, and I just wanted to double check before we got into this. So basically, it was the same design, but it had a 2 o'clock crown with a big orange second hand,
Yep.
but in the same like fat orange arrow tip
Right.
as the
So
second hand.
it looks like this watch without an actual skinny second hand, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it didn't have the pusher, obviously, because the crown essentially emulated the pusher in its
Correct.
positioning.
Yep.
So this is a mono pusher. It's going to have basically a gigantic minute counter for the elapsed time on the chrono, which is cool. And it's really just like a 60-second chrono because there's nothing else to track, no additional subdials. So I imagine it can keep going beyond 60, but it's basically going to give you up to 60 minutes of information. So it's useful because you can set it to track total dive time, and you can still use your diving bezel to track interval time as you descend beyond the surface, which is pretty cool. And will be a pre-order piece. So right now it's currently for pre-order, but it's awesome. It's a historical diving piece. It comes in a nice chunky isoframe. Yeah, man. Pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. This really is kind of in the mold of the classic chunky masculine diver, right?
Yeah.
42 mils, it's 15.4 thick, big barrel case, right? And then you have a 22 mil strap, right? It's not pulling any punches where we've gotten, when they made the, we got the Willard with 20 mil lugs, right? What were you're thinking before that? Most of the divers, you think Seiko, you think SKX 22, right? The Turtle 22, like it's gotten away from that a little bit, but now this is like back to the unapologetically, beefy diver,
Yeah.
which is cool. One interesting thing is pre-order price is $1,000 less than future retail. So if you
Wow.
wanted one of these, you better hop on
This will
early.
be the least expensive it will ever be.
Yeah, 2790 pre-order, 3790 future retail.
Yeah. Even so, it's not bad.
Still though, I'm like, if you're gonna buy one, you better get on it now.
I mean, but how many mono pusher chrono divers do you have?
Nah, that's for sure. That
You
is
know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Out in the market, it's like, oh, it's like this is super unique. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that is. But yeah, Aquastar, I'm a fan overall. Still yet to get my hands on one, but I'm a fan.
Yeah, I've never seen one.
I've seen one. I've never, I don't own one.
Yeah, I've never seen any of their reeditions since they've come back out. I don't know anybody that has one. So, but they are beautiful. They look good. So, go get one.
All right, next watch that will be a little tougher to say about.
Yeah.
So Blancpain dropped a 42 mil 50 fathoms. You can get it in a few flavors: a black, a blue, or a rose gold, which is quite fetching. Um, yeah, it's a little bit smaller than your super chonky 50 fathoms, but definitely not much cheaper.
No.
No, no, no. But I mean, you know what you're getting when you're buying one of these. It's no secret. They're quite pricey. 16.6 for titanium on strap with pin buckle, 18.4 for deployant, 19.3 for bracelet, and then 30,900 for gold. And you can up the ante on that to 34 if you want gold deployant.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I'm a fan of the watch overall. I'm a fan of the Blancpain aesthetic. I like the 50 fathoms. It's cool. Our buddy Matt McD had a wrist shot of the brand new pink gold one, which was uh, you know, very
Stunning.
quite
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah, quite fetching, that's for sure.
Yeah, but sort of just a pipe dream, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've never had a desire to own a 50 fathoms. It's just not my thing. If I was going to go anything, I would go with the Bathyscaphe of all the Blancpains that are out there. And that's only because I've seen one from our good buddy Blake. He and I got together at some point last year, and I got to see it for the first time, like in my hands, play with the bezel, like really, really well executed, well finished timepiece. But it just that one feels more true to form of like what Blancpain really made its dive watches to be, which were tool dive watches. Nowadays, my biggest beef with the current generation of the 50 fathoms is they just don't look like the original 50 fathoms. And I've
Yeah,
said this before, I've talked about this. It's like I don't need to say Blancpain on the side of the case. I don't need to have these like, chunky lugs. Like give me the straight military lugs. Like from the bronze gold one you came out with last year.
yeah,
Like that was a beautifully executed 50 fathoms
that was.
because it felt like the original 50 fathoms. Um, that's what I want. I just want that in like a steel production piece. And I know I'm probably never gonna get it because they know that if they made that, they wouldn't be able to sell, they wouldn't be able to keep enough of them in stock. I feel like that's kind of the problem. I'm like, well, that is an issue for you guys as well. So, but Blancpain's getting more notoriety these days with the Blancpain and Swatch. They're getting more notoriety by doing new things like the bronze gold stuff that they brought from Omega. It's they're making some moves. I just don't know at this point if the moves are something like myself I'm in love with. 100%.
Yeah, I could see that. And you know what? This is it's a weirdly positioned brand,
Yes.
right? Just based on price point, based on what they're offering. Um, you definitely have to be in a certain tax bracket for it, and then you also have to be,
100%.
looking for this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to be a Blancpain enthusiast to be getting into this. It's hard to just be like, well, I'm looking for a fancy watch. You know what? Let me get one of these. It's hard to just fall into it.
Yeah. And again, at that price point, how many other divers out there are there that you can buy from a brand like this?
Yep,
There's
that's
a
true.
lot, you know? And it's just one of those brands that unfortunately, just due to time, has created such a juxtaposition within its identity. Blanc Pawn is some of the most amazing handwork and finishing in the entirety of the watch move or the watch industry. And it's amazing to see them do these grand complications and all of these crazy things, one-off pieces, commissioned pieces, and they're like, "Here's our 50 fathoms diver," and I'm like, "Oh man, it's like 75% correct." It's like I just want it to be 100% correct, but they do really make incredible works of art at their level, and they don't often get enough credit for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and our buddy Matt does say that he enjoys that it's sort of under the radar and not
Yeah.
not so loud and not so well known because he feels like he can wear it anywhere and not really worry too much about the optics of things. Whereas when you have something that's a little more recognizable, a little more on the nose for people who might be looking for that type of thing, that
Yeah.
nowadays things are wild. We'll leave that one alone, but it is what it is, But he feels like he can wear the blonde clown and not really attract too much negative attention, which is
No, no,
I
I
guess.
and I 100% agree with that because most people know what other brands look like these days. Not too many people have seen a Blanc Pawn.
Yeah,
That's just the cold, honest truth.
yeah. All right, up next, well, it's another chronograph. Chronograph heavy today.
Yeah.
So this one is sort of just a special edition of one that we've already known. So you might know it as the Baytona. This is the Black Bay Pink Dial, sort of in collaboration with FC Miami. Now, here's your link between Mr. Beck's,
Yep.
his affiliation with FC Miami. He's a minority stakeholder in that. I think people get a little confused. They think he's the owner. He's like a 10% owner. Um, so similar in the way that Jay-Z owned the Nets and really he was like a 2% owner. Um, yeah. So I'm not gonna say you're not at all owner, but you're a minority owner.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so this is his connecting the dots, right? My FC Miami is or Miami FC. I don't know which it is. I'm not that big of a MLS fan. Um, they're sort of pink and black. This is a Black Bay chronograph. We've seen a white one. We've seen gold panda, and now you're seeing a what would you call this? A pink panda?
I mean, yeah, it's essentially what it is, right?
Turner,
It, it's
Turner, Turner. But
it's a Pink Panther. Oh
yeah,
God, we just made a nickname for it.
boom.
Oh man, the
I mean,
Pink
I think
Panther.
it looks good. It's not bad. I don't really love the red on pink, but it is what it is. You're not going to change that for this application of it. But they did slap it on a 5 link and a nice little jube, and I think it looks really good as opposed to the sort of oyster it usually comes on. Um,
Yeah,
it's
the
nice.
Pink
It's
Panther Panda. I like it. It's gonna be a thing. The Pink Panther Panda. Anyway, so I mean, I like to watch. I do. I'm a little sad, just like many of the other tutors that come out today. It's not Master Chronometer, but I imagine I'll get my delayed sense of gratification in 2 weeks when they announce some other Master Chronometer watches. But very cool watch. I think unexpected for most of us because there was some kind of like customized Miami FC pieces for David Beckham that were made by Tudor, but it was like a Pelagos with like the Miami FC logo and
mm,
like a little bit more subtle. So for them to go like full pink, I think kind of shocked everyone because you could have done this with like a black dial and then pink accents, you know, but they're like, no, the jerseys are pink. We're going
we're going
full
full send.
full pink, full send. Yeah. I don't hate to watch. I really don't. I like it. I think it's a cool watch. I think if you're lucky enough to get your hands on it, because there will be very, very few quantities made. And I imagine of those major quantities that are being made, they're going to be going to the owners, they're going to be going to support staff, the team itself. So whatever's probably out there is going to be very, 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 very far between, which is maybe why they went full pink, knowing full well that it was going to be very difficult to get this watch.
And you are getting a T-fit clasp on this bad boy, which is nice.
Yeah, they're going to keep going with that.
Yep,
That's for sure.
that's gonna be all over the place now. But yeah, really cool. 5670 euro. And I'm sure everybody by now has been screaming into the speaker, bro, this is pink. Yeah, I do know that.
You made a post about it over
I
the
did.
weekend,
No,
so
I reached out to my sources already. I've been poking around. Honestly, they really think, from what I heard, this is going to be like 1 to 2 pieces per boutique type of thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I made my case. I'm not holding my breath. I'll see what happens.
I mean, look,
I talk, I
all we
talked.
can
I'm just
do
gonna
is
say, I talked to one of the big dogs. That's it. That's all I got.
I think I know who you talk to. Like, hey man,
Yo, guy.
I know a guy. He's cool.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, for sure.
Well,
I like it. I think it's gonna be a unique piece, and like I said, everything that's gonna be created mostly is gonna be going directly to people within the organization. That would be my guess. And then anything else that spill over will be, like you said, super rare, super limited. This is not gonna be a watch. It's gonna be out there for anyone to get their hands on. It's gonna be very, very, very exclusive. And I imagine too, like if there are any places where this will be sold, it's going to be at the Tudor boutiques in Miami. Like everyone
oh, for
else is
sure.
probably not going to get allocation of these pieces. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Yeah, this would be a fun one to roll up to some kind of a meetup with. And you're like, hey, so check this out.
Yeah. This will never be seen again. So
All righty. And surprise, surprise, one more chronograph for the road.
hey, we just got to keep it going.
Last but not least, I think everyone knows what's coming. We got our Snoopy Moon Swatch drop.
I
And
love it.
all jokes aside, it is, I think, without a doubt, probably the best looking moon swatch to
Yeah.
date.
Yeah. I as soon as I saw it, I'm like, God damn it.
I think far and away. I mean, I
Yeah.
liked the Neptune, I liked the Mars, but this one takes the cake. I think the white on white is cool.
It's
Obviously,
cool.
the complication is cool. The little Easter eggs with the nightlight saying are cool. The loom, and you're getting a little bit of that Snoopy heritage wrinkled in. We know the relationship, we know the past histories, we know how expensive it has gotten,
Yes.
or
Yes.
exclusive in the case of the last Snoopy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is nice. It gives everybody a chance to own one. Again, probably going to be a pain in the butt, but if you really want one, I think I saw like they're poorly priced secondary, but they're not unattainable. Like I think I saw one for like
Yeah,
700 or 800.
but they've even said this is non-limited.
Yeah, which is nice, which is a good move,
To- Totally
and
good move,
had
and
to happen. I mean,
yeah,
if you limited this, that would leave a real sour taste in people's mouth, and would only
100%.
give them more reason to drone on about wasn't
Correct.
available online. I hate Swatch. Why do they do this?
Yeah,
Polluting the
yeah,
heritage, whatever, whatever. You know what? Here's your chance to get your hands on a Snoopy that you normally would never be able to get because they are just coveted at this point. Um, yeah, I think it's the best one to date. I think it's a home run. I
yeah,
think people just assume like especially if like if I can make a wisecrack about it, people think that like you're a hater, you don't like it. No, no, no. I like this. Just because I can joke about something doesn't mean I don't like it. It's
hmm
it's nice. It's very nice. I like it. It's cool. And I think it's very playful. It gives sort of even more
It's
um
it's more Easter eggy than even like the Easter egginess of the Moonswatch collection initially,
right. And
right?
and it,
Like,
it it plays into the getting the foot in the door even more for those people, right? It
yeah.
gets those younger kids involved. Like you can get something that's familiar and playful, but also cool in the process and
Well,
as significant.
I'll just tell you this, man. I was in a watch store the day that it officially was like available to be, or the day that it was announced. Okay. This store happened to be carrying Omega. Phone was literally ringing nonstop off the hook every 2 minutes. And I always knew because I hear this, but no, unfortunately, you'd have to buy that exclusive in this watch store. But that was what was going on. And I had heard that happened when the first moon swatches like dropped,
Yeah,
that it was
I
kind of
remember
like
that.
to that
I remember that.
degree, many years ago now. But this is kind of that same thing now. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult to get because basically you're all fighting for one, potentially two different models. We'll see. Jury's still out on that.
Well, that's sort of the second wrinkle here is that there was a teaser drop today, and it's a little ambiguous. It's not right on the nose, but Snoopy's carrying a birthday cake, and there's a white candle and there's a black candle, and he blows the birthday cake, the candles on the birthday cake out, and the white one goes out and the black one doesn't, and he sort of has this frazzled look on his face, and
Yeah.
it pans out, and it's just sort of left you to a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what does this mean? Well, conjecture seems to be that they think that there will be a black variant of this as well.
And
Um,
that sounds even more amazing. And what I love is because the first time that I remember the Snoopy advertisement was like him on the moon, and he was like closing the box on like the previous like moon editions, not
yes,
like the moon swatches, but the moon edition versions. And he like kind of howls at the moon, right? And then this one is like he's carrying the birthday cake, like you said, with two candles, which would be, theoretically the second anniversary or the second birthday of the Moon Swatch, right? Because essentially, Moon Swatch happened in 22. This is now 24. So this is the second birthday of the Moon Swatches as an existence in the collection, and we have him blowing out or trying to blow out two birthday candles, only successfully blowing out one, which is white. I saw that today. You sent it to me, and I didn't know it, and I sent it to you, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna get spicy. But could you imagine a fully like dark side of the moon version of the moon phase, a la in that motif? I think that would be so freaking cool.
well, I think that would be
Um,
cool, and then it leaves the door open for any type of variation of sort of panda, reverse
yeah,
panda. I mean, I guess you could probably just go with all the above and be fine, and somebody would find their favorite, and that would be awesome. But
yeah. I mean,
you could do an
that's
all black and just do the moon phase part white, even, which would probably kick ass. But
and it's cool
you know,
because
world's your oyster.
it's a twin hemisphere moon phase,
Yes.
and it is accurate to 29 and a half days, which is a full lunar
Yep.
calendar.
Yep.
So, having known what I known about kind of Omega and their moon phase, it's a 29 and a half calendar moon phase. So, what the salespeople have told me is essentially if I were to buy a watch like that and wear it every single day, keep it wound, it'll track the lunar cycle for 10 years, having been set. Like, that's crazy to me, which is pretty freaking cool, if you ask me, in general, you know? So, yeah, I love the watch, and I know people out there is like I want it. They want to hate it, and they know they can't hate it.
It's a
It's
tough
just
one to
cool.
hate. It's a tough one to hate given how popular the watches this pays homage to are. It's tough.
But
You
even
really got to split some hairs to hate
but
this.
but you know what, man? Like even still, even despite all of that, um, it's just it's the perfect timing. You know, we just got the steel White Dial Speedmasters released. This is now a full white version of the Moon Swatch. It's different enough. It's because it's got the moon phase indication on the dial as well. It just has these Easter eggs with like, I can't sleep without a nightlight. You flip the watch over. You had the battery cover with Snoopy's paw print like on the moon surface, on the Sea of Tranquility. I'm assuming you have kind of the cartoon drawn moon, which is still kind of in the same vein as the other moon swatches when it had the planet, but they had more of like a realistic depiction of it. Like there's just so many things that are so cool about this watch that is not only going to get people re-excited about the originals, which I'm sure is happening, but also more excited about potentially what could be a new version here shortly, and probably going to drop right before Watches and Wonders.
Yeah, well, that was I was I was really I was about to make I was gonna make a meme the other day. It was gonna be like watches and wonders, and then like swatch shenanigans because like
Yeah.
they always seem to be like raining on the parade nowadays. Every single year, it's like a thing. So
Well, I mean, they're dumb enough to announce when they're doing it. So,
yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's just funny. It's
it's
funny
just
just to
literally marketing genius. Be like,
it's
oh,
funny to see
hey,
the buzz carry over through the show.
100%. They're like, oh, you got a Watches and Wonders Expo? Ah, I think a Speedmaster launch is going to come about 3 weeks prior to that. Yep, that's
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
send a Speedy that way. And then you're like, oh, cool, it's over. We finally got over the Speedmaster craze. Oh, look, a white Snoopy moon face. How did that guy get there? And then lastly, maybe a black version. Like, how did that get in there? How'd that guy get in there? It's like, yeah, it's been planned all along just to destroy all of your marketing. And then the thing is like, what's worse is like, you can't even be mad like directly at a major brand like Omega because they're not the one doing it.
Well,
It's
and they're not part of
Swatch,
the show, so
and they're not part of the show. Exactly. It's just so funny to me, the tactics, and it's hilarious.
yeah. But you know what this also means? I mean, if they're willing to slap this guy on there, my hope of a Japan Racing dial is going to remain alive until the Moon Swatch is dead. So
They can do anything. And I know,
if they can give us Snoopy, they are willing to put anything on there. So
I mean, they can give us anything. And honestly, man, like we're all gonna look back at this 20, 30 years from now and be like, man, why do I have 40 moons watches? Because it's gonna happen. They're gonna keep coming out with cool stuff that's gonna be fun and gonna be exciting. Last year probably being the exception, but people bought every single one of them, so can't really hate that either. But it's they're gonna make stuff like now I have to find this watch. Like I've been thinking about, it. I was like, all right, when's my next trip to a place where there's a Swatch store? Because I have to try to get it.
yeah, it's going to be a toughie, but they'll be out there.
Yeah, they'll be out there
Right
for
place,
sure.
right time.
Yeah, just like it was in the beginning.
Yep,
All you gotta do is
exactly.
wait and just go in and see what they got.
Exactly. Yep.
Don't sweat it. You'll get one, but you gotta go to a store where they get it. But luckily, if you didn't know this, Swatch is opening stores all over the country. They're in a massive expansion. They're opening up the largest Swatch store like in the United States in Chicago.
Which is
They're
funny
opening up.
because people that was a big gripe. They said Chicago is one of the biggest metros in the country, and they don't have a
Well,
Swatch.
they used to. They used to. Swatch used to have 3 stores in Chicago before COVID. COVID killed off everything.
Yep.
So Chicago is now getting a return to Swatch, and they're going to get the largest square footage Swatch store in the country.
Wow.
And then other cities all over the United States are getting Swatch boutiques built into their malls. It's only a matter of time before they're in every major city, to be honest with you. And now it makes sense too because Swatch was basically a non-existent brand. Swatch is now within the top 10 of all watch manufacturers across the entire watch segment for volume and sales.
Well, it just shows you all it takes is a little lightning in a bottle.
Top 10, baby. We went from nothing to now beating brands like Richard Mill. It's turned to sell out. That's crazy. Isn't that wild, dude?
It is. It's very crazy.
So, I mean, it's fun. Well, we can't wait to see what's gonna come next. But there you go. There it is.
There it is. So yeah. Aside from that, not much else on the docket. I was trying to think of watches and wonder stuff, but even then we talked about it a lot just with the dress watch things. I think the only other thing I think we're going to see a lot, and I'm just noticing it across the board, whether it be clothes or cars, whatever, the return of the flat colors are back, like flat. I'm seeing a lot of like flat gray, flat blue, where it's like
Mm.
no more sunburst, no more gloss.
Yeah, like
Sort of
this
that mute, like
this pure saturated color.
it's
Just
saturated, but it's like muted. It's not very
yeah,
bright. They're neutral. You know, neutral colors. I
yeah.
think that's the move for the next wave of
We're going back to the beige aesthetic.
not necessarily even beige. I mean, I'm seeing things like red, but it's not a blinding red. You know what I mean? It's a little more subdued.
So you're saying my terracotta is now out of style? Out of style?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see because I
That's
mean,
a subtle way of
but
saying,
there's
yeah,
your
probably, bro.
but there's your comparison, right? Like the terracotta is much more dynamic visually versus like the
Yeah.
oyster perpetuals were
Dude, the
extremely
oyster
flat.
yeah, it's just not even the same. Like, it's not even the same discussion.
You
It's
know,
just so flat.
but those are the colors that I'm seeing just everywhere right now. I took notice of
Yeah.
it the other day. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, every car I see is just flat. I mean, even I just bought one and it's a flat color. I mean, it's nice, but it's you're just like, okay, I see this is where things are going. So I'm curious to
Yeah.
see if that carries over into watches as well.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Everything kind of has this trend
Time is a
shift.
flat circle, as they say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah, but aside from that, I mean, I'm excited to see what comes out. I'm excited for sort of the the fun to be poked.
Oh, there will be fun to be
Oh,
poked.
for sure. And that's kind of where
It's
we're at.
it's good, man. I'm excited. Like 2 more weeks, we'll be coming at you hard, fast, and loud, and hopefully it'll be worth it. Hopefully we're not let down. I feel like we've waited long enough for there to be something really, really big
Yeah, I think
coming.
this year could be a banger. I think this could be a good one.
I'm anxiously optimistic,
Yeah, cautiously
cautiously
optimistic
optimistic. Yeah.
that this one could be a big one. So we'll see.
And I think honestly for the future of the industry, it probably needs to be.
Probably should be. Yeah.
It's like
If you're gonna keep the
we're 2 years
momentum
past
going,
COVID, guys. You can't keep using that as an excuse anymore.
yeah, we're
It's
gonna
time to drop some heat. And if
time
you
to
ain't dropping heat, then it's time to get out of the kitchen.
keep all that momentum you built during COVID rolling because you're
Yeah.
starting to lose a little bit, but
Yep.
it's not
That's the
lost. It's
thing.
not lost. It just needs to be continued.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
One hundo. But all right, man, that's it.
That's it for me and the Schmidt. Good night. Happy Easter to all. We'll catch you next time on Rashi's Radio.
Take care.
Later.